In 1932, the International Basketball Association, the precursor of modern FIBA, was formed by 8 countries: Argentina, Czechoslovakia, Greece, Latvia, Portugal, Romania, Switzerland, and Italy. Although initially gathering only amateur national teams, including Olympic delegations, until 1992, by the 1960s, men and women basketball World Cups were established, and soon after, also the FIBA European Champions Cup, a European tournament for clubs, made its appearance as the progenitor of EuroLeague. The Basketball Association of America, instead, was created a little after, in 1946, after decades where professional basketball was mainly dominated by brainstorming games, by, for example, the New York Renaissance 5 or the Harlem Globetrotters. In 1949, it merged with the National Basketball League and gave life to the National Basketball Association, also known as the modern NBA. As of today, EuroLeague welcomes the champions of European national domestic leagues, along with other big teams from such leagues. The EuroLeague regular season is carried out in parallel with domestic ones, and counts 16 participants that face each other once at home and once away. The best 8 teams then go to the playoffs, where the champion eventually emerges. The NBA nowadays is the major league of basketball in the US and gathers 30 teams for the United States and Canada. The number of games in a regular season, 82, is much higher than in the EuroLeague, because NBA teams do not play in other leagues simultaneously. The NBA champion rises after winning 4 best-of-7 playoffs rounds, competing with the other league's 7 best teams. European basketball's focus has always been perfecting technique and implement a fast offensive game, along with tough stifling defense. Best teams eventually stand out if they have a strong teamwork and statistics well distributed among each player of the team. Best players in the league are recognized especially for their so-called basketball intelligence, the capacity of fast-forwarding other players' intention, and best interpreting the match by making the right choice in the right moment. NBA basketball is probably only second to NFL football in physicality and contact intensity. The team's focus is to always have a great offensive performance and to take over teams leveraging on the talent of their individual players, although neglecting the defensive end sometimes too much. Games are often a sequence of highlights, and usually a high amount of points is scored. The best players in the NBA stand out for being either outstanding athletes, like LeBron James, considered one of the best players of all time, physically dominant, as the 4-time NBA champion Shaquille O'Neal, or infallible shooters, like Steph Curry, who recently achieved the all-time best regular season record with the Golden State Warriors. One key factor that both derives from and affects these two separate playing styles is regulation. Originally, FIBA-compliant courts had trapezoidal, thus slightly bigger, 3 seconds areas, emphasizing the need for a more dynamic and less shoulders to the rim game. 3-point lines are a few inches further in the NBA, underlining once again how meaningful physical prowess is compared to the EuroLeague. Another important discrepancy between the two leagues' rules is game duration. Each quarter in a FIBA match is 10 minutes, against the 12 minutes long ones established in the NBA, which therefore ask for a more spread out effort and inevitably a slower paced action. Lastly, an emblem of rules diversity between EuroLeague and its transoceanic cousin is the traveling violation. The rule itself differs only for tiny complex details. But the fact is that NBA referees are a little more lenient on the matter than their peers in Europe, denoting how entertainment is a more relevant factor in the US of A. The EuroLeague and the NBA are very different environments, and the game of basketball in these two leagues is surely interpreted differently. Although, here and in the rest of the world, basketball and other sports remain a way to overcome barriers, foster teamwork, and unify people, countries, and cultures.